The snow came down sideways that night, the kind of storm that erases the road, swallows sound, and makes even the bravest people feel small. Before you decide what kind of man this story is about, before you judge the leather jackets or the skull patches or the quiet house at the edge of town, stay with me, because what happened in that blizzard changed an entire community, and by the end of this story, you'll understand why one open door can echo louder than 100 engines. And if this story moves you even a little, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this deserve to be shared. Mark Holloway lived alone with his daughter in a small, weather-beaten house near the old logging road. He was a single dad, a veteran, and a man who didn't talk much about either. The war had taken his wife long after the bullets stopped flying, an illness tied to years of stress and sacrifice, and left him with a quiet grief he carried like extra weight in his coat. During the day, he worked maintenance at the high school. At night, he fixed things around the house, helped his daughter with homework, and stared at the snow piling up outside the window, remembering nights overseas when the cold cut just as deep. That evening, his daughter Lily was staying with her aunt in town because the weather reports were bad. Mark didn't like being alone, but he'd learned how to manage it. Around midnight, when the power flickered and the wind screamed like it was alive, Mark heard something that didn't belong in the storm. Engines. Low, strained, coughing against the cold. He stepped onto the porch, snow biting his face, and saw shapes moving through the whiteout. Motorcycles. A lot of them. One by one, they rolled into the clearing near his house, riders fighting to keep their balance as ice grabbed at their tires. When the first bike tipped over, Mark didn't hesitate. He pulled on his boots and ran. They were Hell's Angels. The patches were unmistakable even through snow and darkness. 15 of them, stranded, frozen, and far from any place that wanted them. Their leader, a broad man with a gray beard crusted in ice, raised his hand slowly when he saw Mark approach, not in surrender but in respect. He explained that they'd been riding to a memorial for a fallen brother when the storm closed in faster than expected. The highway was shut down. One man had frostbitten fingers. Another was coughing hard, each breath sharp with pain. Their phones were dead. They'd followed the only light they could see. Mark knew what people said about men like these. He knew what fear felt like. But he also knew what it meant to leave someone behind in the cold. He'd seen that, too. He looked at their faces, rough and tired and scared in a way no one wanted to admit, and he made a decision that would ripple far beyond that night. He told them to get their bikes as close as they could and come inside. The house was small, but Mark turned it into a shelter the way only a soldier knows how. He piled blankets on the floor, started the fireplace, brewed pot after pot of coffee. He wrapped frozen hands, checked pulses, and listened more than he spoke. The men were quiet at first, unsure, waiting for judgment or a trap that never came. When one of them noticed the folded American flag on the mantel and asked about it, Mark simply said he'd earned it. That was enough. Something shifted in the room then, a shared understanding born of loss and loyalty. As the storm raged, the men talked. About brothers they'd lost. About roads that never led home. About kids they hadn't seen enough of. Mark shared just enough, mentioning Lily and how she hated snow because it reminded her of the day her mom didn't come home from the hospital. One of the bikers, a man with tears frozen in his beard, quietly slipped a small carved angel from his pocket and placed it near the fireplace. No one said a word, but the gesture filled the room with warmth no fire could match. They slept in shifts, listening to the wind batter the walls. At dawn, the storm finally broke. Sunlight hit the snow like a promise. The men stood, stretched stiff muscles, and began to clean without being asked. They washed mugs, stacked blankets, fixed a loose step on the porch. Before they left, the leader pressed a hand to Mark's shoulder and thanked him, not loudly, not dramatically, but with a gravity that stayed long after the engines faded into the distance. Mark thought that was the end of it. Just one night, one choice. But the next morning, as he shoveled the driveway, he heard engines again. Not strained this time, strong, steady. He looked up and froze. The road was lined with motorcycles as far as he could see. 102 bikes, gleaming in the sunlight, riders standing beside them in silence. The 15 from the night before were there, along with dozens more, drawn by a story that had spread faster than the storm itself.